ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday, June 30th, our final day of the month. It's time for your drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So today's the day. Texas State making it official, accepting an invitation from the Pac-12. So Texas State will owe the Sun Belt $5 million. And, of course, if that decision would have came tomorrow, Texas State would have been on the hook for $10 million. So the buyout, obviously, very attractive for a league like the Pac-12. And, of course, the Pac-12 will be offering a little compensation in that regard. So it's not going to be that big of a hit, really, for Texas State in the grand scheme of things. And, of course, the television money is going to be a lot better than it is currently in the Sun Belt. So we're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to get your thoughts on it. So we'll get the text line open in just a few minutes. We weren't here on Friday, so we had a great show planned on Friday. And so we're going to try to replicate that show just a little bit. We're just a few days removed from it. And so when we go to our first break, we're going to have we had a guest planned for Friday. Actually, we had two guests planned for Friday. Of course, the other big news that came out on Friday as far as the region was concerned is Portsmouth's Shawnee State University joining the Mountain East Conference. And so we were going to talk to officials from the conference. We're going to try to get them back on later in the week or the next month. We're going to try to get them on the show. But we're going to speak with Michael Adams from the Austin Sports Journal. Michael, of course, friend of the program, also a Marshall alum. So it's always good to have boots on the ground when it comes to news like this. So he's been following it. He actually was the first to actually break the news. He got the late word. I think we were all in bed when the news broke. And so his sources, he got the deal. He's going to tell us all about it. So that's what we've got coming up on today's show. And, of course, want to hear your takes on what possibly could be the next move for the Sun Belt. Is it still Louisiana Tech, or does this league make a stand and go, we're good at 13 right now. We can just work the schedule out a little differently. We'll figure it out. We'll make 13 work. And then we don't have to necessarily rush after a school like say, Louisiana Tech. Western Kentucky's been in the conversation as well. And the league actually released a statement earlier in the day. So Commissioner Gill, through the league offices, released this statement. And it reads, with Texas State's recent announcement of its planned departure from the Sun Belt Conference, I want to personally take a moment to thank the Bobcats staff for their collaboration and leadership through a transformative era in college athletics, from the COVID-19 pandemic to name, image, and likeness to the most recent round of realignment. Since expanding to 14 football-playing members, the Sun Belt Conference has experienced the best three-year stretch in the conference's nearly 50-year history. Over the span, the league has led all non-autonomy conferences in football postseason representation for 3 straight years, including leading the nation with 12 bowl teams in 2023, set a conference record with a non-autonomy leading 37 NCAA postseason and bowl berths during the 23-24 season, when it was a multi-bid league in women's soccer, men's soccer, volleyball, football, softball, and baseball, and established itself as a power player as one of 5 conferences with multiple appearances in NCAA Division I National Championship Finals in 2024-25. I will continue to update our stakeholders on developments whenever possible as we work to ensure the sustained rise of the Sun Belt Conference, a collection of like-minded regional rivals with winning football traditions, passionate fan bases, and enduring commitments to excellence in all sports. The Sun Belt Conference is rising, and our best days are ahead. That the full statement from Keith Gill, Commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference. And, of course, you heard the regional rivalry statement, and Louisiana Tech would fill that requirement. I just don't know if Louisiana Tech adds any extra value to the league other than you fill a number. Does it increase your league's visibility? Does it add quality to your league? Is it for football? Probably not. Is it for basketball? That's probably a better argument. What does this department do? What does this athletic department do for you? What does this program do for you? So those are going to be some of the things we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. Why Louisiana Tech? Why not Western Kentucky? Why not Middle Tennessee? Why not Liberty? Why not push for a Liberty? Or why not just wait and see and hold out hope that maybe a couple of defections from the American makes that league less attractive and makes it more of a, not a Hail Mary, but more of maybe a power play. Hey, we can offer you something here in the Sun Belt. You'll strengthen the league. That will help us with our television package. And, of course, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to television revenue. That's what really is pushing a lot of this. And so for Texas State, a well-rounded athletic department with a commitment to football and athletics, a renewed sense of commitment from its leadership, that program all around the best athletic department, top to bottom in the Sun Belt. But we know football drives this. Considered a contender in football this year. Considered a contender. We'll just have to see how that plays out. So when we continue, we're going to speak with Michael Adams from the Austin Sports Journal. We will get your text in. All that's coming up on today's edition of The Drive right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hi, I'm Nori, and over the years, my mother and I have opened our homes to those who need it most, and it's been so rewarding. I bet you didn't know that some adults who have unfortunately been mistreated need a place to call home in West Virginia. It happens more than you know. They may have some physical or mental limitations, and they need your help. Everyone deserves a place to call their own. I can tell you from my experience, it's worth it.
If you have an open heart and want to open your home, Adult Family Care may be the right fit for you. Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an Adult Family Care Home Finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Dog Dazzle 2025. It's a Huntington Tri-State summer tradition, and it all kicks off Thursday, July 3rd. At Harris Riverfront Park. Dog Dazzle 2025 featuring Matt Stell. Plus special guest Madhouse. And don't miss the Big Sandy Superstore Furniture Fireworks Show. Lighting up the sky. Gates open at 5 p.m. Enjoy inflatables, ice cold drinks from the Clark's Pump and Shop beer tents, food trucks, and family fun all night long. Dog Dazzle with Matt Stell. Get to 937thedog.com for free ticket locations. Dog Dazzle 2025 with Matt Stell, Thursday, July 3rd. Presented by the City of Huntington, Cabell County Commission, Blinko Glass Company, Dave & Buster's, Little Caesars, Wendy's, Great Outdoors Marine, Miller Lite, Twisted Tea, Comark, University Ford, One Way Septic, White Claw, Michelob Ultra, Busch Light, Kendrick Communications, and 93.7 The Dog. Dog Dazzle. Kick off your fourth with a bang.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In 1776, America declared its independence. Since 1979, K&B Pest Control has helped homeowners and businesses in Ohio and West Virginia declare their independence from pests. K&B Pest Control, we will kill for your business.
Truck accident? Tom Boggs is here for you in Huntington, and he's brought the expertise of Warner Law Offices with him.
Call 345-6789.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We didn't have a show on Friday, and that was a disappointment because our next guest was sitting by the phone all day on Friday. Just excited to talk to me. Michael Adams joins us from the Austin Sports Journal. I mean, I completely ruined your day on Friday because, well, our show got preempted and you had all this information you were sitting on about Texas State, the Pac-12. Well, it's official today. Texas State, Pac-12. The announcement was made. The deal was signed off on. The $5 million check is probably already being cut and sent to Commissioner Gill. It's been a really eventful day. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well. It's actually been a pretty eventful weekend. I mean, I think I've slept maybe like 12 hours total. So, yeah, it's been an eventful weekend.
So you broke the news, by the way. Everybody was basically sitting on their hands. You got the official confirmation first from trusted sources. You broke the news, and so all over at least the weekend, as first reported by Michael Adams. I just want to stress how much of a big deal you've been in sports circles this weekend when it came to this story.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's a surreal move. I'll be honest with you. It's a surreal moment for me. Probably the most defining moment of my journalism career, which has spanned over, I mean, since you and I were working the Marshall beat when I was a student journalist, it was crazy. I got texts and all that stuff. And, I was sitting on that story. I kind of knew it was going to happen. But I had one source who was pretty adamant about it. He's like, yeah, it's going to happen. We got the invite. They're going to call the special meeting. And, when you look at the logic of it, it had to be announced Friday. It had to be, the meeting had to be announced no later than Friday for this deal to go through before tomorrow's deadline. So I got that call around noon. I had the story in the chamber, and some overeager staffer posted the notice early, and I happened to see it, and I was like, good enough for me, and I hit it, and they took the notice was taken down after a while. But yeah, that's kind of how it all played out for me.
So you broke the story, and today was the day where the vote happened, and it was unanimous, and so the invitation has been extended. The Texas State Bobcats are going to the Pac-12. They've agreed to pay the $5 million. What does this mean now that you've been able to break it down? What does this mean for the Pac-12, the Texas State Athletic Department, and then what's next for the Sun Belt as you've been following that aspect of it as well?
So what it means for Texas State, it's a big deal for Texas State. And that meeting took I'll let you know, it took all of 10 minutes. They called the roll. They said, hey, anybody have an objection to writing this check? No one objected. Check was probably written by noon in the hands of the Sun Belt. And then the Pac-12, they told the Pac-12 we're coming. I'm going to be honest, for Texas State, this is probably the best move possible that it could make. They're a very energetic group. Kelly Dumfrey, I'm not going to pronounce it right, but the president of the Texas State, he has done an amazing job. The athletic director, Don Coyle, has done an amazing job to put them in a position to where this was possible. Everyone calls them, I've overheard this like 100 times today, like Texas State's the sleeping giant, and they kind of are. I mean, it's been going back all the way into their Division I AA days in the Southland Conference and moving up to the Sun Belt in 2013. It's kind of been a growing process, and I mean the facilities are top notch. I don't even know if you've been to San Marcos, but the facilities are top notch. San Marcos is a beautiful college town. I compare it to Athens, Ohio, as a college town. The campus is beautiful. There's stuff to do down there, and I think it's just a good overall for the Pac-12. It means, hey, we can play football next year. We've got 8 members. We're an FBS conference. I think there's some debate on whether or not they're a Power 5 conference, and I think that's fair. But, it's a good move. It's a step in the right direction, and I don't think they're done. I honestly don't. I think they're going to come after a few more schools. There's talks that St. Mary's is going to come for basketball. There's talk about pulling in some baseball-only members like Dallas Baptist or UC Irvine or UC Fullerton. And then there's also rumors and discussions that some more Texas schools. In my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinion, the one everyone should keep an eye on is Rice, because Rice is financially able to get into that position or to pay the exit fee that the AAC has, which is pretty steep, and go through that process. And they also have the facilities that are ready for that level of play. So I think you should watch out for Rice. I think Rice is going to be in that conversation here within the next year, and all that. As for the Sun Belt, Louisiana Tech is I have a strong suspicion that Louisiana Tech is the go-to replacement. I know that's probably much to the chagrin of Marshall fans, who I know want Western Kentucky or Middle Tennessee. But Louisiana Tech just makes geographical sense, and they're ready. They can make that move pretty easily. I think I looked up the Conference USA buyout fee is like $2 million, $3 million. So it's not a lot, not compared to the $5 million that Texas State paid the Sun Belt. But I think too, and we can get into it, the TV money deal is really where it's a good move for Texas State. So.
Well, yeah, because getting into the television money is what, $2 million for the Sun Belt. It's 3 or 4 times that in the Pac-12, and of course CBS negotiating that deal with the league now. That just helps the prestige a little bit more. And honestly, the reason why you make these moves are television. It doesn't come down to anything other than that. The geography does help, but television money at the end of the day, and especially in this day and age where we're going to be tomorrow's the day, we're going to be paying players, not NIL deals. We're going to just be paying players now.
Yeah, that's coming. And, you're right. I think the Sun Belt was $2 million per school, and that was pretty good. I know for Marshall, going back to their MAC days and the Conference USA days, that was a big increase for them. But Texas State, yes, you're right. It's even if at a partial share, which there's some discussion, and part of the original deal. So this has been on the table for a while. They've been going back and forth on this move to Pac-12 for a while. Apparently, there's reports that I saw that said that Pac-12 initially offered them a partial deal, which is kind of standard for new members, but they wanted a full share. Texas State wanted a full share, so they turned them down. There's no real details on it, but even at a partial share, Texas State's TV revenue will stand at about $8 million at a partial share, and the top tier, I think, is $15 million. So, and it'll gradually, and SMU went to the ACC. It started out with a partial share, and it will gradually increase to a full share. So it's kind of structured. I think it'll be kind of structured like that if with a partial share of revenue. So, yeah, big, much more money.
What are you hearing why Louisiana Tech makes sense other than geography for many of the Western Conference teams?
Well, Louisiana Monroe, ULM, is probably their biggest supporter. They're the ones that kind of want Louisiana Tech. And Louisiana Tech, and all due respect, that's a very traditionally historic, good athletic program. Karl Malone came from Louisiana Tech. I think Kim Mulkey, believe it or not, played basketball at Louisiana Tech or coached there or something. So there's some history there. And Louisiana Monroe is like 30 minutes from Ruston and just down Interstate 20. So it kind of gives you that. It kind of gives all those Western schools like Southern Miss, Louisiana Lafayette, ULM, not UAB. Who am I forgetting? Arkansas State. It kind of gives all those schools kind of a regional area there. So I kind of think that is why they make the most sense. Now, I also heard too, someone said, well, why not go get all three? Go get Western Kentucky go get Middle Tennessee State, and then go get Louisiana Tech, which I think would be a good move too. And you could put Western Kentucky in the Eastern Division, put Middle Tennessee and Louisiana Tech in the Western, and boom, you have a 16-team conference now.
You would have 16,
so,
yeah.
I think. I mean, that's also a possibility. I don't see, the Sun Belt, when they added Marshall and all those Conference USA schools, the Sun Belt really positioned themselves into a much better conference than it was. And I don't think that, losing Texas State is not going to technically hurt them that bad if they go out and make the right moves like they did back when they brought in Marshall and all those other Conference USA schools. So, and James Madison and, all those. So I think it's going to work out for the Sun Belt. We'll see what happens, but I think if they do add one member, it's just going to be Louisiana Tech. And you say what else do they bring? Well, geography is a big one, so I think that's it. But I've said all along I thought Sam Houston would be a good option, but not. They've got their own little controversy going on right now, so probably not in the cards for them in the near future.
And of course, we've talked about this a few days ago. The fact that the Sun Belt actually made a phone call to ECU to kind of get some interest and see where they might be. And we're in this wait-and-see mode right now. Does the league do that? Does it wait and see, finds out if maybe, just maybe, that you see Memphis and possibly someone else decide to jump as well and go to the Pac-12? I still think Memphis fancies itself as making the next move to a Power 4 league and not a league like the Pac-12, which I don't know if you can make the next jump after that to a Power League right now. I just don't know in its early infancy because this is a brand new league. The television money is good, but this is still a brand new league.
Well, I think too, in the rumor mill, the rumor mill of conference realignment is always spewing, but I've heard that the Big 12 is very interested in Memphis. And for rightfully so, because Memphis brings basketball royalty with it. So, and the Big 12 might be a better fit for Memphis if they're looking to go to another conference. As far as like other schools, Tulane, UTSA, those might be good. I don't think UTSA is ready. They probably got about 5 or 10 more years, or not 5 more years before they're ready to make that big jump. But because their facilities really need some work, they're putting money into it. And as I mentioned, I think on Thursday when we talked, UTSA doesn't have a stadium on campus. They play at the Alamo Dome, which is a fantastic venue, but it's also like 20 miles from campus. So not a real ideal situation for UTSA at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Memphis, I don't know. The Sun Belt may want to wait and see what happens with like all these other schools, because you know as well as I do, Paul, this isn't over.
Our guest, Michael Adams, broke this story for the Austin Sports Journal. Texas State accepting the invitation to the Pac-12, and now next year a possible 13-team Sun Belt, or there could be a maneuver here. And here's the interesting thing. I don't think that the targets for the Sun Belt, if you're looking at Conference USA, to your point earlier, it's not as dire as it was for the Pac-12. The Pac-12 needed this today to solidify its status as an FBS league, and still the buyout just not the same, leaving Conference USA going anywhere as it would have been for Texas State. $10 million, I'm sure they could have handled it, but that's $10 million that you'd have to spend. I'd rather spend 5 than 10. I'd like to have $5 million, to be honest with you.
Me too. I would writing a $5 million check would be nice to be able to do and not have to sweat or tell someone to wait 30 years to cash it.
I like it. Of course, I know some of the other rumors have been out there, and maybe I've spread those rumors. Liberty as well as a viable option for a foray into the Sun Belt. I know that Liberty would bolster the east side of this. I've even seen the north-south kind of reconfiguration and putting the Georgia schools in the south, and then you bring in a Liberty to kind of bolster the north of this. It's not a bad idea. It stays in the geography, but I don't know if the Sun Belt wants to stay in Texas and then look at a Sam Houston, or just have 3 schools in Louisiana. I still don't know what 3 schools other than geography does for you in Louisiana when your name isn't LSU or Tulane.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and because if you're the Sun Belt or you're the Pac-12 or whoever, I mean, one of the nice, most appealing things about Texas State is they got a good TV market. Your San Marcos is nestled right in halfway between San Antonio and Austin, so you're getting. Now, they're not getting much out of Austin because of, University of Texas, but you're pulling in some of that audience. You're pulling in the San Antonio audience. So you've got a good TV market in San Marcos. Ruston, Louisiana, I don't think there's a TV market there because you're kind of far from New Orleans. So, and to your point, if you're not Tulane or LSU, does anybody really care? So, Sam Houston is a very interesting point or subject, and the reason I keep bringing them up, they're an hour from Houston. You're going to pull a little bit of that northern Houston area and that East Texas market that is, and again, Texas is a hotbed for football recruiting. So is Sam Houston a very appealing school for the Sun Belt? Who knows? But to your point, yes, I agree with you on the Louisiana. I don't really know what else adding Louisiana Tech would do other than make it more geographic sense.
Michael Adams is with us. Austin Sports Journal broke the news that Texas State would leave the Sun Belt and go into the Pac-12, and that is official today. So we're just sitting, wait and see now. Well, I'll say this: if Sam Houston decides to jump, we know who our next phone call is. It's going to be right back to you, Michael.
Well, I don't really cover. I do cover Sam.
You're the only reporter in Texas. You're it. You're our guy. You cover the whole state for us. Yes.
It's a big state, Paul. It's a big state, but yes, I would have that knowledge, I guess.
Yeah, you have.
Sam Houston does.
Yeah, you have a little bit more boots on the ground than I do right now when it comes to Texas.
But I will say this about Sam Houston State: their facilities need work, especially their football stadium. I don't know how big it is. But it's pretty small. It's kind of nice though because it's really kind of in a pit, and they've got like stands on the hill. It's what'd be a good example? Kind of like Ohio U almost. I guess would be a good example. But yeah, I mean Sam Houston's got to work on its facilities too. They're only 2 years in playing FBS football. So it would be an interesting move. But but again, going back to what you said, TV revenue is king, and Sam Houston at least brings part of East Texas / Houston market and football recruiting. So who knows? It'd be interesting to see.
Michael Adams with us, Austin Sports Journal. Check him out if you're interested in following this story to its conclusion. You can check out all his work on the Austin Sports Journal. Michael, good talking to you again. Sorry we couldn't do it on Friday, but you know how baseball works. It plays when it plays. Rain does not seem to favor us here, at least this month in Huntington, maybe next month for the local folks. But, yeah, you know how it is. Rain will bump you any time it feels like it.
Well, there is a trade-off, Paul. You could be in 110-degree heat.
I mean, it kind of felt like that for majority of the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, we know what it's like.
Yeah,
the rain just makes it more humid. That's all we're getting. Wet and humidity. Yeah. That's what we're getting.
Yeah, gross.
You got that dry heat. Yeah. I can handle that dry heat.
Oh, whoever told you it was a dry heat lied to you. It's not dry. There's humidity here.
Okay.
A lot of it.
I will take your word for it. Yeah. Absolutely.
But anyway.
Michael, good talking to you. We will do it again soon.
Yes, good deal. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, buddy. Michael Adams, Austin Sports Journal. Text line now open 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Don't miss the big pre-4th of July sale, July 1st through 3rd at Scioto Shoe Mart. Selected men's, women's, and children's casual dress and athletic shoes starting at $10, $20, and up. The entire selection of women's summer sandals, 20% off regular price, excluding Birkenstock hoops and Crocs. Get 25% off the entire selection of women's handbags, accessories, and more. The savings are exploding throughout the store during the pre-4th of July sale at Scioto Shoe Mart, Harding Avenue, Sciotoville, closed July 4th.
Now more than ever,
Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
In 1776, America declared its independence. Since 1979, K&B Pest Control has helped homeowners and businesses in Ohio and West Virginia declare their independence from pests. K&B Pest Control, we will kill for your business.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple 100 years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thanks, Dave. Don't forget, Metro News Talk Line coming up tomorrow, 10:06 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter just wrote in and said, Paul, great show. You and Michael Adams put forth many excellent points to ponder. Appreciate that. Michael is a great guy. I've known him for a long time, and he does some fantastic work. He's covered that Texas beat for a long time, so he's got a good perspective on a lot of sports. He also covered and worked Tennessee for a long time as well, so he's covered major college athletics in some form for a long time, so it's good to have him. We'll get him back on soon. He's somebody we can talk to more than just what's happening in Texas, so I appreciate that. Hopefully he's listening to the stream or the podcast and heard that. If not, I'll make sure he hears it as well. So, again, our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And I don't know what the game plan ultimately is going to be for the Sun Belt. Do you sit back and wait and see? I know you're going to have some discussions, and the discussions have already taken place. Does Louisiana Tech bring you anything other? And now, think of the savings. If you're Troy and you're traveling to Texas State, that's a lot of money right there. The travel is going to be a big issue. Now, if you're Troy, your travel budget is going to have a lot of stress on it. You get a little bit of a savings there because now if it's Louisiana Tech, that's not as far. There's still some traveling to do, but it's no different than, say, Troy having to travel to, say, Appalachian State. Yeah, you've got some destinations, Troy to James. There's some destinations that you got to travel to, and it's just part of the deal. But Troy going to Texas State over Troy going to Louisiana Tech. There's got to be some savings there. Same with Louisiana, same with UL Monroe, South Alabama. Now, of course, if you're Monroe or you're Louisiana going to Tech, obviously might generate some interest among your local fan base, but I don't know what it does for the rest of the conference. I'm not the one making the decisions because I would look at it from a different point of view. Okay, Louisiana Tech's good, but then you have Western Kentucky. And to be fair, would it be push if you took Western Kentucky over Louisiana Tech? I think as far as football is concerned, Louisiana Tech isn't the play. It's Western Kentucky. If you're talking about basketball, I think you could possibly make a case for both. At the end of the day, though, the geography is probably going to win out, and so that's what makes Louisiana Tech probably the odds-on favorite here. Or you could just go ahead and say, look, let's just rub out Conference USA and take Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee. You get to 16 and you're good. But then if you get to 16 with that combination, you don't have any room. Say, for example, Memphis decides it wants to leave. And then maybe if you're looking at the teams in the American that could jump, does Memphis jump? Does UAB jump? Does Tulane jump? And so if Memphis and Tulane jump, then you could look at possibly picking up UAB. If Memphis and UAB jump, I would think Tulane would jump somewhere as well. South Florida, I'm not sure. Would the Sun Belt like a Florida school? But South Florida is probably a long shot. FAU is probably a long shot at this point. FIU is probably I don't know if I want FIU. And again, I'm biased. Then you have Liberty, as we've talked about before. There's Liberty. Liberty would be right there, almost in the dead center. If you look at the dots, James Madison, Old Dominion, Appalachian State, throw in Marshall, almost right there. But if the American starts to fall apart, I would be on the offense in this regard. Instead of trying to sit back and wait to see if there would be any defections, I would go on the offense. I would work with the television partners and look, if we can pull this off, what can we do for our television package? What does this do? Or do you have institutions go into business for itself? Like, does Marshall go into business for itself and go, hey, you know what? Maybe we can make that swing to the American. Does James Madison go into business for itself? Does Old Dominion go into business for itself? I like the Sun Belt right now. I think it's a good place. It could be the best of the rest. It could be the best of the group of six. It could be the number 6 league. It could be the number 5 league. It could possibly be in that, because the vibes I'm getting from the Pac-12, it knows it's not going to be a Power 5, but it could be the best of the rest. I think the Sun Belt has just a good of an argument there. You're just going to have to increase the television money. You're going to have to increase the television exposure. And winning helps. Winning does help. I think a Liberty would help. Liberty's committed. I think if you look at it from that standpoint, Liberty gives you more than Louisiana Tech. Or you hope that maybe, just maybe, you can cherry pick a little bit. If a Memphis leaves, if there's some sorts of defection from the American, then all of a sudden do you go, okay, East Carolina. This would make more sense for you because the travel would be better. What's the travel like now for East Carolina? Travel for East Carolina I would think be better. Obviously, you have North Texas. Obviously, you have Tulsa. Obviously, you have UTSA, Rice. You have 3 Texas potential trips, depending on your sport. Now look at that and say, okay, Old Dominion, Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina. And, of course, it's dependent on the league doing its part to improve as well. I mean, you can't stay static. And the texter points out, Paul, Liberty just joined Conference USA 2 years ago. So would Liberty already be looking to leave that conference already? La Tech too far away for Marshall. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. I think that if Liberty wants to move itself forward, it's going to do what it feels as an institution is best for itself. And so I can see it going rogue. I can see it going into business for itself. Let's be honest. We've seen this before. UCF was in the business of getting as far as it could into the conference structure, got into the Mid-American Conference, got into Conference USA, got into the American, got into the Big 12. It was moving. And today, honestly, I think that's the name of the game. If there's an opportunity, and maybe Liberty goes, this Conference USA is a great launching pad. We're now in the Sun Belt. And I would take a Liberty over Louisiana Tech. I don't know how I feel about a Jacksonville State or a Kennesaw State. Sam Houston was an interesting thought. Middle, Western. If you're taking Louisiana Tech, then I'm taking Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, and calling it a day. Or you take Western Kentucky and hope you can cherry pick a couple down the line. I don't know what's going to be the game plan here. Do you rush to 14? That's ultimately going to be the question. Do you rush to 14, or do you stay at 13 and make it work? A quick timeout, and then we will wrap it up with your text. 304-396-TALK, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is Mayor Patrick Farrell. Summer in Huntington has always had a special energy, but this year feels different. Families are out walking, neighbors are reconnecting, and more folks are spending time downtown. We're a city focused on what matters. Dog Dazzle is your chance to soak it in. Enjoy fireworks, food, music, and a night by the river that brings us together. Join us July 3rd at Harris Riverfront Park. We'd love to see you there.
Save big on everything for your next staining project when you shop at Menards. Protect your deck with Cabot Heat Reducing Stain and Sealer. With its Cool Field technology, it deflects the sun's heat and reduces surface temperature by 20 degrees, allowing you to enjoy your deck all summer long. Save big money in all Cabot premium wood care products. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our final segment for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. We do that at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, instead of asking which team should join the Sun Belt, why not ask if Marshall can get out of the Sun Belt and join the American? I don't know if that's the move I want to make. I appreciate the text because if the American holds, I don't think there's a spot for Marshall right now. If the American starts to fall apart, is it going to be as valuable, or would a more consistent league like the Sun Belt be still the better option? And it all comes down to television money. At the end of the day, what's going to be the more attractive option for Marshall? And I would think the Sun Belt's probably the best option in play right now. I don't know if the American would be the best option unless the American goes shopping and takes several teams from the Sun Belt. And then what would that look like? If you're the American right now, let's say you lose Memphis and let's say you lose Tulane. Okay, you lose Memphis and Tulane. What if you go, okay, we'll take Louisiana. Take Louisiana. It's not Tulane, but it's fine. It's fine. Or if you lose Memphis and so you lose Tulane, I don't know how you replace South Florida. Would you take an FIU? I don't know if you go that route. But if you're the American, you've got to fill a couple of holes. Unfortunately for Marshall, I don't know if it fits in that right now because you could look at possibly, if you're East Carolina and you're sitting there with Charlotte, does the American go, okay, Appalachian State, Old Dominion, James Madison? And at that point, that's part of the argument why the Sun Belt has been a good fit for Marshall because of James Madison, Old Dominion, App State. Or if you're just trying to plug in a couple of spots, would you take James Madison, Appalachian State? Then there's Coastal Carolina. I mean, the baseball's really good at Coastal. So you've got something there. I don't think anytime soon the Georgia schools are going anywhere. I don't think that Troy would be going anywhere anytime soon. I don't see South Alabama going anywhere anytime soon. Sorry, Arkansas State, like you, but I don't see that happening here. But if you're the American and you got to pick up a couple of programs, could you see Appalachian State, Old Dominion, James Madison paired up with Temple, Army, Navy, East Carolina, Charlotte, South Florida, Florida Atlantic? Or do you start picking apart the American and going, okay, you're losing some big boys. What if we pull a couple away here and make the Sun Belt sort of bigger and better? And then you pull out and you get an East Carolina. Of course, I would be in the flip side of this. I would be in any conference that had Army and Navy in it. Absolutely. I would be in any conference that had those two in it. Just because it's Army and Navy. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.